What's going on, everybody? Jeff Holiday here, and today I wanted to do a little bit of a catch-up. You see, I was gone for a few weeks because I was finally having a little bit of a vacation, and when I come back, unfortunately, well, things are still pretty dire. Now, they don't necessarily have to be, and in many ways, there really isn't any reason that they should be. But for the sake of what I do on this channel and to try and use my platform to inform people and make the best arguments that I possibly can, we're going to have to play a little bit of catch up. You see, despite the ravings of some conspiracy theorists who thought that once the November elections were going to be over, that the virus would mysteriously disappear, we have been seeing record amounts of daily death from the pandemic. And the response to this has been rather crazy, and the responsibility is a lot more nefarious than I think a lot of people understand. So we're going to look at a few news articles, and I'm going to make my best argument that hopefully you can then carry and share with maybe some of those family members or friends who might have some strange ideas about this whole situation. So this comes to us from the New York Times. Pharmacist accused of tampering with vaccine was conspiracy theorist, police say. The police say a Wisconsin pharmacist believed the Moderna vaccine would harm people and tried to sabotage the effort to vaccinate frontline workers. Oh, that's really charming. What kind of a person would do such a thing? A pharmacist who was arrested on charges that he intentionally sabotaged more than 500 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine at a Wisconsin hospital was an admitted conspiracy theorist who believed the vaccine could harm people and change their DNA. Change their DNA. Okay. According to the police in Grafton, Wisconsin, where the man was employed, the police said Stephen Brandenburg, 46, who worked the night shift at Aurora Medical Center in Grafton, Wisconsin, had twice removed a box of vials of the Moderna vaccine from the refrigerator for periods of 12 hours, rendering them useless. He admitted to doing this intentionally, knowing it would diminish the effects of the vaccine, the police said. The attempt to destroy the precious doses of the vaccine came over the holidays as the state worked to administer vaccines quickly to frontline healthcare workers. As of Saturday, the state had received 159,000 doses of vaccines and administered 64,000. The prosecutor, Adam Jarrell, said that Mr. Brandenburg was pretty cooperative and admitted to everything he'd done, and that he expressed that he was under great stress because of marital problems. He said that according to coworkers, Mr. Brandenburg had brought a gun to work on 2 prior occasions. Last month, Mr. Brandenburg told his wife, who is in the process of divorcing him, that the world is crashing down around us, according to a motion she filed last week asking for sole custody of their children. In her motion, Gretchen Brandenburg said that on December 6, her husband picked up the children and dropped off a water purifier, a large bucket of powdered milk, and 2 30-day emergency buckets of food. Weird. Who is it that tends to sell emergency buckets of food? He told me if I didn't understand by now that he is right and the world is crashing down around us, I am in serious denial, she said in an affidavit. He continued to say that the government is planning cyber attacks and plans to shut down the power grid. Oh boy. She asked that his time with their children be supervised, saying he had made alarming remarks. The 6-year-old had quoted him as saying, "This is not our home, heaven is our home, and all the bad angels and the devil are going to burn in the lake of fire forever. I was so concerned about my safety and the safety of our children that I left town for a period of time." Ooh, man. Wow. Now, that is incredibly alarming, as it very well should be. But the thing is, as well, this is also nothing very new. This is something that is pretty common, especially when it comes to conspiracy theorists and the response to the coronavirus and the coronavirus vaccine. And it's sad when these types of things happen. We deal with this type of mentality on this channel quite often. But this, in and of itself, is a very singularly different topic. The reason why is how widespread it is now. We have a massive problem with disinformation. And we see the effects of these things in real time right now. This isn't like before when we would have anti-vaxxers versus like the measles vaccine, where it's a potentiality that people could get it and die. And unfortunately, at times it was a reality, but it was also very rare. Now, with a global pandemic, we see these things happening very, very fast. And it doesn't just hit regular people. not at all. It hits, well, important people, like politicians. Virginia State Senator Ben Chafin dies from COVID-19 complications. Virginia State Senator Ben Chafin died Friday from COVID-19 complications, the senator's office confirmed Friday night. He had been hospitalized at VCU Medical Center for 2 weeks, according to a news release. And then we have a congressman-elect from Louisiana died from COVID-19 complications. Luke Letlow, a Republican who was elected to the House of Representatives this month to represent Louisiana's 5th Congressional District, died Tuesday evening of complications from COVID-19. Mr. Letlow was set to take office on Sunday. His death was confirmed by several politicians. Now, this one in specific is actually pretty crazy because Luke Letlow didn't really seem to be too concerned about the whole, global pandemic. As evidenced here, shortly before his death, him having quite a few outdoor get-togethers and rallies, and if you notice something, there's no masks being worn here. Nope, no mask there. Nope, no mask there. And every single one of those people are now potentially at risk of having, contracted part of the pandemic, all because of the rhetoric being espoused by a young politician who unfortunately died very, very young and left behind a family. It's in one way you could say, it's bittersweet irony, but it's also incredibly sad. That's a family that no longer has their father. It's awful. And then at the absolute pinnacle of irony, then we get this one. A Texas pastor who hailed coronavirus as a privilege and a wake-up call for sinners, particularly those who engage in sex outside of marriage, has died from the fast-spreading disease. Irvin Baxter, the founder of Texas-based End Time Ministries, succumbed to symptoms linked to COVID-19 on Tuesday, about a week after he was initially hospitalized and put on a ventilator. Baxter, also a dedicated supporter of President Trump, was 75 when he died. When the global health pandemic initially emerged in the United States earlier this year, Baxter made an appearance on The Jim Baker Show, where he discussed the alleged ties between the sin of fornication and coronavirus. Charming fellow. There are 7.5 million couples living together in the United States, and this is not worldwide, just in America. 7.5 million couples. That means 15 million people that are living together are unmarried, and that's increased over the last 10 years by 138%, he said. Now, in addition to that, I hope this research is not correct, but I got it straight from the encyclopedia. The encyclopedia. It says that 5% of new brides in America are now virgins. That means 95% have already committed fornication. Listen, when I am ready to get hot and heavy with the missus, I ask her, I whisper deep into her ear, "Hey, baby, do you want to commit some fornication?" The pastor continued on to say that COVID-19 was likely a plague from God intended to punish those who are intimate outside of the marital bed. Is that... Did you do that? It's your rules, man. You made these rules. If we think we can just ignore God and live a sinful lifestyle, we cannot do it. I believe in what you're saying, that God may be using this as a wake-up call, Baxter added. This coronavirus may be a privilege, because I'll tell you right now, there's a much bigger judgment coming. It's in the Bible. Now, if you think that would be enough to kind of wake some people up, especially when you see, and it wasn't just those two politicians, there was a potential third one as well, you would think that would kind of light a fire under people's butts and be like, hey, maybe you should get vaccinated. I don't know, maybe. But you would think that would inspire people. Unfortunately, that isn't always the case. As leaders urge Americans to get vaccinated, Colorado's Ken Buck says he won't. U.S. Representative Ken Buck said Friday that he will not be taking the COVID-19 vaccine. It's my choice, the Windsor Republican told Fox Business Channel. I have the freedom to decide if I'm going to take a vaccine or not. In this case, I'm not going to take the vaccine. Government officials in Colorado and elsewhere have urged Americans to take the coronavirus vaccine, which the Trump administration's Operation Warp Speed began distributing this week. On Friday, Vice President Mike Pence, his wife Karen, and Surgeon General Jerome Adams received the Pfizer vaccine on television to raise awareness and confidence in the injection. Buck praised the vaccine on social media and in remarks to the Denver Post on Friday, calling it great and an absolute miracle that will save lives. But on Fox Business, he voiced concerns about possible adverse side effects from it. I'm more concerned about the safety of the vaccine than I am the side effects of the disease, the congressman said, referring to COVID-19. I'm a healthy person. I think most Americans are healthy, Buck added. I think what we should do is we should focus on the at-risk populations in America, make sure those are the people who get the vaccine first, make sure the healthcare workers that want the vaccine get the vaccine as soon as possible, but I'm not going to take the vaccine. And this is very commonly something that anti-vaxxers will say. You know, they'll try and espouse that, you know what, I'm sure everything is fine. It's just I'm not going to take it. And really, it's all about the freedom to weigh the different risk factors. And you know what? That's true. That's true. There's absolutely every reason why people should be able to make whatever decision that they want about their bodies. However, there should also be consequences. And unfortunately, most of the people who talk about these types of things also want to end the lockdown, and they also don't want to have any repercussions for not getting vaccinated. Very, very free to go out and spread the virus as much as they want to. I guess just for fun? But one of the things that we really have to understand about this is that this COVID-19 vaccine denialism and the skepticism over the virus itself, the calls for hoaxes and pandemics and, what's her name, Judy Mikovits and Del Bigtree and all of those people, this is all very intentional. This is all done specifically with this goal in mind. They want people to distrust the vaccine. They do. Because in their minds, well, I mean, some of them, I legitimately think that some of them only do this to try and enhance their portfolio and their public image and to effectively gain a sort of power over other people's lives, whereas others are some true believers. But to say that this isn't an actual, legitimate, marketed, and very well calculated push, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. There is so much evidence of this kind of thing happening. As California and the nation begin rolling out coronavirus vaccines, anti-vaccine campaigners are aligning with small business owners and far-right groups, an effort that some experts fear could supercharge mistrust of government at a crucial moment for public health. In California, the movement toward businesses is being led by a group calling itself Freedom Angels 2.0, originally founded by 3 women in response to a 2019 state bill tightening vaccine requirements for attendance in schools. The organization was best known for its protests at the state capitol against that measure and other vaccine legislation. This, of course, is trying to free up the ability to have an exemption for needing your kid to have a vaccine to attend public school. This is not, as they try and market it, that they want to make it so you don't have to get the vaccine. You don't have to get the vaccine. It's always been that way. It's just if you don't get your kids vaccinated, they don't get to public school. It's as simple as that. They do not want that to happen. They want their children to be able to infect other children, potentially children that are very, very ill and might possibly die from these diseases. They do not care. They don't care. If it's not their kids, if it's your kids, they don't care. They don't care. Let them die. Whatever. As if ignorance is some kind of shield versus a virus. But as the coronavirus has spread, so has its message, encompassing a more mainstream, values-driven ideology that centers on government overreach. That broader approach has helped the organization interest a new audience in the business community, along with others worried about schools, the economy, and the social toll of isolation for seniors. There's a strategic mission creep into other groups that might feel disaffected, said Richard Carpiano, a professor of public policy and sociology at UC Riverside, who has followed the anti-vaccine movement. And this, again, is absolutely true. They have very specifically aligned themselves with people who are small business owners who are financially impacted by the lockdowns. Absolutely. Because they can sell it very, very simply. Well, even with the vaccine, which we don't even know if it's safe or not. It is, by the way. The lockdowns might still stay, and the government doesn't care about your business and your well-being. And so right there is a perfect hook to try and drag them into the movement. As well, they're now catering to far-right conspiracy theorists and QAnons and other like anti-government paranoia types because these are just more people to swell the ranks. They don't care who they are. They don't care. They don't care if one of those far-right groups is like, yeah, it's the coronavirus vaccine is a big conspiracy all done by the Jews. Instead, anti-vaxxers who don't hold those types of bigoted beliefs will just be like, I can't plug my ears because I have headphones on, but la 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 la. We just heard that you don't believe in the vaccine, so good. Yes, you're on our team. Let's go. There's no actual integrity in these. It's all about the push, the cultish marketing manipulation push. That's it. That's all they care about. Also, that is a really fascinating read from the LA Times. So that's in the description down below if you want to read further on it. It's pretty wild. But so where is this all coming from? You could say it's coming from just conspiracy theorists, but it's not. You could say it's coming from just politicians or from some megachurch pastors or whatever, but it's not. It's not just these simple things. It's coming from places that are also infecting pop culture and infecting things like, well, YouTube. And YouTube could definitely do something about it, and they really probably should. I'm going to show you 2 examples.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cover in today's episode the vaccine rollout, the control, and the mandates, and we're going to go down what I think is headed our way. Thank you so much, Trish, in the super chat. You guys are so generous. I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much.
This here is the Patriot Nurse. The Patriot Nurse has 386,000 subscribers. As you can see up there, she also is very happily accepting super chats. And hey, no shade, I accept super chats when I'm live as well. But the thing is, she's an anti-vaxxer. She's a paranoid anti-vaxxer. She casts doubt on our public safety. She casts doubt on our vaccine programs, and she claims that any requirements that need to motivate people to get vaccinated is control, and that this is a fight against the government. And as you can see, since she has super chats, this is all being monetized, and YouTube is paying her. Now, do I have a problem with that? Sort of. I believe that everybody should have the right to be able to say whatever they want, but at the same time, as you can see, she is affecting a rather large amount of people, and she is spreading a very, very dangerous message that can and potentially will, and maybe already has, gotten people fucking killed. I do have a little bit of a problem with that. Yeah, I do, and I think it's fucked up. And, there's absolutely no buffers in place right now, so far, for the Patriot Nurse to espouse this kind of garbage. But she's not the only one. I'm sure you guys know this, sorry piece of shit. This is Dr. John Bergman, chiropractor. 709,000 subscribers. Now, I've already shown this on the Wingnut Roundup, but I believe that it is important that we watch it again in an actual recorded video. So here we go.
Good morning. This is Dr. John Bergman. Happy Thanksgiving. This is your Health Minute. Okay, it's time we take back Thanksgiving. Remember, Thanksgiving was started by a group of religious zealots that came to this country to worship God in their own way. That's now being taken away from us. Let's get back to personal responsibility. If you feel that it is safe to hang with your relatives, fantastic. If you realize that masking does not help your immune system, if you realize that we're working with a virus that has over a 99% survival rate, and you realize that it's a case-demic now, not a COVID-demic. So look at the reality of this. When you hear the BS of hospitals are being overwhelmed, you're looking at about 10% of patients are in there.
So all of this is trash. I don't really need to give it even more of a platform than it already has. But again, unchallenged. There's no repercussions for him being able to say this kind of shit. And on top of that, probably one of the biggest problems that I have with it is that he has a platform to further his public image, to further his then ability to say these types of things, to encourage people into egregious self-harm. Because that's what it is. Make no mistake. All of this is a slow form of suicide or a slow form of manslaughter against your own family or your neighbors or your friends. Like, it is actually crazy. It is actually crazy. Now, I tried to check for the sake of full disclosure. I tried to check and see if he's still monetized. I don't necessarily know if he is or not. But whatever passive ad revenue that he would generate from his channel, the value of that pales in comparison to that platform itself giving him a loudspeaker to encourage people to hurt themselves. So again, there doesn't seem to be any repercussions, but this is everywhere. Everywhere. Now, there is some good news here and there. I mean, Pete Evans is no longer on Facebook. He can't encourage people into self-harm or sow more seeds of conspiracy and distrust. And it probably will be harder for him to sell $15,000 light shows that look like a shitty blender. Jordan Sather from Destroying the Illusion, he got yeeted. To some extent, these things are good. But again, it's not something that I want to celebrate that people have to be deplatformed. But in the midst of a global pandemic, if making them shut the fuck up might save some people's grandmas, or even in the cases we saw, one of those congressmen, he was 41 years old. That's only 3 years older than I am. That's terrifying. That's really spooky, And so I when you have to weigh those things out, it's a really hard call. But I hate to say it, guys, we are not even close to the end of this. We're not. We have to have 70% of America, especially because we have the worst cases right now. We have to have 70% of our population vaccinated before we can even consider trying to open things up. That's going to take a long time. So please, 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 wear a mask. Do social distancing as much as you possibly can. If you are potentially at risk, go and get a test. Make sure that you take care of yourselves and your family. And from mine to yours, I hope you are well. I hope this video finds you well, and I hope you stay that way. From mine to yours, thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys next time. There's a lot of fun stuff happening this month. Just wait and see. Bye, everybody.